It's Trump in Trump fashion, this time at a private rally he has there in Porterville, Michigan. Clearly, Michigan, Wisconsin, very important swing states right now in this election. We've been tracking his rally today. Also, VP Harris, who is on her bus tour through Georgia, hoping to win that state over as well. Our senior White House correspondent Selina Wang and senior reporter Katherine Faulders have been listening as well. Selina is actually there in the room. And Selina, I was just making a list here. Oh, sorry, are you in La Crosse? She's in La Crosse now. It's hard to keep track when we've got the candidates crisscrossing. There we go. Thank you. It's hard to keep track. You're following the candidates in all the important states right now. But look, I want to start with you, Selina. Just the former president talking about immigration, inflation, that we're close to a World War III. He also talked abortion, taxes. I mean, look, we pretty much have to fact check everything he just threw out there. So I'm going to let you start. You begin where you want to begin, and we'll pick it up from there.
Yeah, Kira, well, I mean, it is hard to keep track because he is really stepping up his campaigning in order to counter Vice President Harris's rise. So right after he finishes that rally in Michigan, he will be here in La Crosse, Wisconsin. He's going to be giving a town hall up on that stage just in a few hours. But look, he covered a lot of topics during that campaign rally in Michigan. He is speaking at a steel processing facility. This is supposed to be remarks focused on the economy. They know this is an area where they have the upper hand, with polls showing that voters still trump more when it comes to issues like the economy and inflation, even as Vice President Harris is gaining ground over him in the polls. Now, we know that Donald Trump's aides want him to stick to the issues and tone down the personal attacks. He did mostly stick to the issues. He tried to blame inflation and rising prices on Vice President Harris. He wanted to blame her for the chaos at the border. But he did also have some personal attacks. He was talking about how it's hard to pronounce Vice President Kamala Harris's name. He said that she is incompetent. But look, Donald Trump knows that the economy is an issue where he can resonate more with voters. Just talking to Trump supporters here today, they say that is an issue that is at the top of their mind. And at this town hall, it's going to be moderated by Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democrat who more recently came out in support of formally endorsing Donald Trump. So clearly he wants to try and reach a broader base of voters here. He wants to reach across the aisle. There are some supporters here who told me they were RFK Jr. supporters, and now they're here to see what Trump has to say himself. So any moment now, he's going to take that stage in a few hours, and he'll take questions from voters as well.
All right, Selina, thank you. I'm looking back at his quote here of what he was talking about immigration. Over the past 3 years, we took in 20 million people, many of whom are horrible criminals. Just fact check real quickly that there's no evidence that those entering this country are more likely to be criminals. We've had to mention that. That is a talking point of his. We have to always correct that. Also, he did, since he's there talking jobs at a steel facility, and he's talking about manufacturing and creating more jobs and the economy, a subject clearly that voters trust him in the polls more so than Kamala Harris right now. Americans are paying 3 times as much in mortgages. Actually, mortgage rates right now are lower. Also, they were low during his administration, but that's also because he was the president during COVID. So just want to button those up. Katherine Faulders, I'll take it to you on abortion. Clearly making comments that are just simply not true.
Yeah, comments that are simply not true, Carol. We've heard the former president make these types of comments before, where he says that Democrats are allowing for babies to be executed after they're born. I think it's just important to point out in stark terms that that's just not true really at all. No state is passing or has passed any law that allows such a thing, that allows babies to be executed after they're born. That's a claim that Trump is blaming on Democrats, and that is just not true as it relates to abortion. It's something that you will continue to hear from the former president. It's something he said before. It's what he likes to say on the campaign trail. And look, I think Selina touched on this some, but just from talking to people close to Trump for quite some time now, and you hit on this, Kira, in your lead into Selina when you said that's just Trump, typical Trump. We hear him that way all the time. These are remarks on the economy in Michigan, in a swing state, in a area where he is up in the polls, as you pointed out many times. Now, his advisors would hope that he would try and capitalize on that he would try and carry that momentum. Harris could catch up to him in some of the polling on that specific issue, and she is trying and laying out particular policy proposals. But it's these types of things, whether it's what we're just fact-checking about abortion, what you talked about immigration. Obviously, those are big talking points for Trump on the campaign trail, but his advisors would prefer, in some cases, that he actually stick to the economy, stick to the messaging on the economy, especially in these states that are all so important to him. I was talking to our team earlier just about Trump's campaigning, and it turns out that while he was saying a few weeks ago that he didn't need to go to battleground states, that he's already ahead in the polling, the past 19 days, he's only campaigned in battleground states, these states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. He realizes the importance of these states and realizes, his advisors at least do, the importance of bringing this message of the economy, for example, to these states. And they're hopeful, at least through the campaigning, these next under 70 days, that he at least tries to stay on message here.
Yeah, it's a tight race, no doubt, as you continue to follow the polls every day. You know, it seems that it's neck and neck still. Selina, Trump also saying that the VP refuses to do any type of interviews, in particular national interview. But we should point out that she did sit down with Dana Bash at CNN. That interview has wrapped up. CNN even starting to put pieces of that interview out to air.
Exactly. I mean, she's finally sitting down for that interview, which, as you say, has recently wrapped up. It's going to be airing tonight on CNN. But there's a lot of scrutiny on this interview because it is the first in-depth sit-down on-the-record interview she's doing with the journalist since President Biden dropped out of this race. And in that intervening time, there have been a lot of Republican attacks about why she isn't doing more interviews, why the American public isn't seeing her in more of these off-the-cuff, unscripted settings. In that period, you have seen Donald Trump and J.D. Vance give multiple interviews to all different types of platforms, you know, streaming, podcasts, more untraditional media. Now, in this interview, we are already learning from some of the pre-clips that we're seeing from CNN that she's answering why she's changed her positions from when she was running her campaign to be president for the 2020 presidential election, back when she was more left, more progressive than the party, and now she's running as more of a centrist. So she's going to explain in this interview why she has shifted. And it appears that in these pre-comments, she's saying that her values have not changed, but she's gained more perspective as vice president. Now, whether or not those comments are going to be satisfactory to the American public is another question. But this is really the first time that she's having to answer tough questions about her platform and about her policy. So a lot of scrutiny and a lot of stakes are being put on this interview that's airing tonight.
Selina, Wang, there in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Katherine Faulders here in our bureau. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it.